Welcome to Moss Marketing Mondays, aka the M3 Podcast. Brought to you by Moss Marketing Group, bringing you everything marketing every Monday. Stay tuned for marketing tips and tricks you can use today. The M3 Podcast, marketing knowledge to help you succeed. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the M3 Podcast. This week we have an MMG podcast, and we are going to be going over different marketing things that are taking place in today's world. We have a lot of people that listen to the podcast, and we have a lot of people that want a lot of insights on marketing, and it's really hard to sum up in the short form videos that we put on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube Shorts and stuff like that all the time. So we got Ricky, Dalton, and Logan, all from the MMG team. The first thing I want to hit on what's going on in the marketing space right now is the word automated is everywhere. And I see it all over in every industry. People are trying to go to this automated form of marketing. And quite frankly, I don't believe it works right now. And I think there still has to be the human touch on what marketing is. So what are your guys' thoughts on what's happening with that?
So I think it's super basic and generic, these services that are out there that are quote unquote automated. Like a lot of it has to do with kind of the boom of artificial intelligence too, I think. And there are some good benefits of some of those services, but you're right. It still has to have that human element, that human touch. I mean, whenever you just automate something and go with, basic computer generated images, computer generated text, like it's not going to stand out at all. There's so much of that out there. There's so many people on social media now. Every company is getting to the point to where they're doing at least something or knowing that they need to do something. You have to do something that stands out to be able to cut through the noise.
Well said.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think with AI, I mean, automated is good in theory, but I agree with Logan. Like there's a lot of the AI boom going on right now, and it just from me using it time to time, like I can tell, and I can tell when other people use it. Like it doesn't seem genuine most of the time. It needs to be altered in some way. And I think, I think with the just seeming a little, cookie cutter, for lack of a better term, is probably what I, see from automated marketing solutions and stuff like that. So
I feel like you can.
What are we talking when we go automated marketing? Like, I'm a little bit out of the loop on that. Is this AI that's doing it for you, or is it like something that's coming down from a corporate level? Everybody's getting the same thing, or
I think there's a lot of different ways to look at
both.
it. And I think it's people went from there's a corporate structure that it's automated and this is how it's supposed to be done, and it's 10 people down, and they don't believe that works. And it gets to a marketing person that I think in the corporate space, the marketing mind's not actually given the freedom to do the marketing. I feel like now they're just order takers, that you have somebody higher up that's balking the orders of how it's supposed to be done. And I think with AI, it's happening. I think there's a lot of different forefronts of automated.
So even like one thing that comes to mind, Ricky, it's kind of both, and both are connected. Like for example, on car dealerships pages, when you see like the generic computer generated images that they post of the vehicles, like those are on the higher quality end of the like automated stuff. But still, that like that's not a real truck. A real person probably, there was no actual picture taken. It was populated. Like the text sounds super generic. You can tell that a human didn't write it.
Yeah. Are you talking about for instance, like all the GM stores have that same, like, looks like a truck's in the wilderness.
Yeah. That's literally the
image
that comes to mind.
Holy shit. Is that place right around here?
Well, no, I mean, I think that is a great example of automation, because literally you can look at all the GM sites and pages and they all have the same photos and stuff. So,
and the exact same ad copy and everything.
Yes.
And the weird thing is, on that in particular, like that single thing, there's actually studies out there done about how terribly those perform.
So why does GM and why do they keep generating?
Because it's easy.
Because they don't have any other options either.
And a
they
lot
don't
of
have
times-
someone on the ground that can do it at each store.
That is correct. Like to have somebody on the ground to do that and do it correctly, and they do take human error out of that process, which to do it at mass scale, that's a lot of times what people or these companies are doing is trying to take the human error out of the process.
And also, like, specifically on the dealership side, like, that's still good for GM as a whole because they're just getting more of their brand out there as awareness because they don't care if you sell it or this other guy sells it. As long as they're selling a GM, it's all the same to them.
Do you think that that's better than doing nothing?
What do you mean?
Like,
Because as a dealer, they can't do nothing if they
Right.
get that car. So it's either they're going with these generic photos, which the crazy thing is they pay for those. Like, I don't think most people know that they pay for that automated photo.
Yeah.
And those photos of that vehicle, I think that if I'm shopping and I'm looking, the first thing I see when I see those is I see it as a vehicle that's not there.
yeah.
And I think that's how a lot of people think. And there's a lot of studies that are done on people do not actually like those. But then it's also you have dealers that are taking photos that I'm like, I don't know how somebody takes this bad of a photo. And there's no structure to it. And I think that's just a poor job on the management side of what that structure looks like. That we circle into the car business with this, but if you look at all business models out there as a whole, a lot of times a certain business model has one service they're doing all the time, or they have one product they're selling, or there's two variations of what they do. In the car space, what most people don't realize is you have so many different processes in place, from your sales department to your detail department to transport to service writers. So you have five different processes in service for 5 different types of employees. And it's like, then you have porters and you have managers.
It's a pretty complex business.
The complexity of it's very, very high, to where I think that when we talk about that automated system that puts in place, there is a lot of places for human error in the automotive space. So then this automated term sounds appealing because it's like, okay, I have all these broken things. If I can automate this just made my life easier, which in theory, it does make their life easier. But now, or if they could find the correct process to do that, they could get 10 times more out of whatever that is. So it's the automated photos. They know that dealers know that doesn't work, but they have to be supplied with a better option. And
The automated photo is better than no photo available.
yes.
Yeah.
Not by much, but at least they know what they're looking at.
Yeah. Because the crazy thing is I was looking at a car the other day on a dealership's website, and it tells you that the car is black. When you look at the photos, like the first 2 were black, and then it went to blue.
Yeah, it is interesting.
And then it had a different color car. I'm like,
Yeah.
That's so frustrating too when you want to look at a vehicle and it like sounds like something cool that you'd be interested in, but there's no photos of it. It's like,
and most people that actually, like, if you know vehicles and you went out and you started looking at websites, half the time the automated photo is not actually the correct vehicle.
yeah,
Like the VIN didn't decode correctly.
right. It's just like
It's
if
like
it's a Silverado, it's just like the basic
It's a
stock
it's a
Silverado,
fucking-
you know,
Yeah, it's like an, what do they call them?
LT.
LT.
Like, you're looking at
LS.
LT and it could be a LTZ or it could be a high country. And you're looking and you're like, there's no way that color, like I notice all the time that they'll have the color on the inside that I'm like, that package doesn't make that color interior. Then somebody's looking at this auto-generated photo. Somebody drives to a dealership, and then they're unhappy because it looks nothing like the photos. And then now you just ended up with an upset customer. Like, and I think it's something that's happening all over the place in literally everything. And I think AI has a big problem. I think that's the biggest problem that we have right now is everyone knows that AI is a thing, but very, very, very few people actually even know how to use it.
Yeah.
Most people are like, oh my God, I've never been able to write something in my life. Write me a Facebook post. That's like, there's people that put that as an input and then they just copy and paste that and they post it. And it's like,
Yeah,
It's pretty
single, obvious.
Every single person on your Facebook page knows that you didn't write that.
Yeah,
Like everyone knows that you just found ChatGPT. Like you might as well just make a post saying like, hey, I found AI instead.
Yeah.
it definitely helps incorporating your own language and elements into the input of ChatGPT. I found I mean, one, I don't think you should solely rely on it to do anything, but I think you need to add your own kind of personality and input into it to actually get the most from it. Because I've tried it both ways, and
AI is a great tool, but if you don't put the right inputs in, you're not going to get the correct outputs.
No,
I mean,
not at all.
it's the same. Like we could go sit down in a fucking airplane right now, any of us, and we don't know how to input all the flight data and all the shit for it. It's not going to fly us anywhere. We're not going to get anywhere. But a pilot,
throttle it up. Let's ride.
yeah, it might be a quick flight, but it's a tool that's meant to be
It's only
used.
quick when you're coming down.
I don't even know if you'll get off the ground if you don't have it trimmed
No
right.
flaps.
Yeah, no flaps.
We'll figure that out.
Let us know how it goes,
Okay.
or maybe we'll see how it goes.
And it's also just a measure of how good the output is, because like you can get what you could consider a correct answer, but it could be a 56 out of a scale to 100. Whereas if you put more time into the input, you're going to get a closer to 100 score.
Sure.
And I also think when we get into what we're talking about, a lot goes into targeting in today's world. That we, on the marketing forefront, we do a lot of very specialized targeting with different business owners on ads across all social platforms. And going with an automated technique on that, I just look at how much money people lose. Because if you don't know what you're doing, you don't have the correct audience, you don't have the correct content that's targeted to that audience, the messaging isn't right, your platform isn't right, like you're going to lose on that all day, every day.
I got served an ad yesterday from some Botox place in Idaho.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
Did you reach out to him?
I didn't.
No.
I almost commented like your targeting's off. We should probably,
But it's like,
I didn't want to be that guy.
I mean, we had a garage flooring company that was absolutely killing it on social media ads, getting leads all the time. And they want to go to mailers, and they go with automated data purchasing. And they were targeting Dalton's apartment complex where no one even had garages.
yeah.
Or even
I got like 4 of them too.
Oh,
throughout.
nice.
I think it was last summer. I got like 4 mailers from them in one summer. So
But it's like, that's what I look at is, go with an automated approach to buying your data also. Figure out how well that works out. Or there's things in place that, it costs more money and it costs to do it correctly, but you can go geofence something and you can get the exact people's names that are there and their emails and their address to send to the exact people that you want. But that's the human part that comes in.
right.
Because now what does that messaging look like? There's no way to automate that and make it work without a human touch on it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of the success that we are finding in the marketing space is because we are multiplying by manpower and using AI and using the tools that we're given for a certain portion of it, but we're not losing sight of actually how to really do it and what that human personality to it, the weight that has on actual marketing.
Yeah.
I also did have other questions.
I think it's funny. I've put into AI like, make it like personalized or like even give me like some sort of personality or a joke in it, and it's so fucking bad. I'm like, yeah, that's not what I was looking for, and I don't know how to tell you what exactly I'm looking for. It's like a personality thing. I feel like
Yeah.
like
Sometimes
it doesn't really have a personality.
No,
Obviously,
I mean, it
so.
doesn't. Yeah. Sometimes you just got to tell it to F off and open a new tab. I mean, I've gone.
You've gotten some arguments with it.
I have.
It's like, what fucking year are you living in?
It's kind of fun because it doesn't argue back. It just apologizes. So. It's
Wait till it does start
right.
arguing.
You guys
back
have
to
too much time.
We should
We should
make a more aggressive AI that just like
That
really
you can
sends it
argue
back
with?
to you.
I
Yeah.
think those are called girls.
Do you know?
We should probably cut that out.
We have to cut that out.
Yeah.
As a real.
Yeah, as a real. Send it to all the real.
going on Logan's page.
No, but it's funny. Most of the time, like when I put things into any of the AIs and I'm like getting an output, one of the things that I'm normally like always putting, I'm like in a more aggressive tone. in a more aggressive tone.
Yeah, more
Like just the way I speak, I feel like I normally have like kind of an aggressive tone, just the words I use. That the output, I'm like, if I post that, no one would think I would like say any of those words. Like those aren't even in my vocabulary.
Yeah.
But I think that that's leading a lot into I think it's a very undersaturated. I feel like there's more people in marketing than ever before. And I feel like there's less people in actual marketing than ever before.
Yeah, I mean, the barrier to entry to be a social media marketer is just so low now that if you grab an iPhone and you can take a couple photos for a company, you consider yourself a social media marketer. There's just so many different degrees to it now, because 20 years ago that didn't happen. Mm-hmm. Mostly because you also didn't have the access to these platforms. Like nobody was just going to roll in and make you a TV commercial.
Yeah.
Like you had to have some pretty serious equipment to do that back in the day. And that space is changing really fast.
And I think a lot of people out there think if they have a one-hit wonder, they have one viral video, all of a sudden they understand all social media platforms, and that there is so much that goes into all of it that it's funny how many people come up to me all the time. They're like, well, you guys just like take pictures, right? I go, if you even knew a tenth of what we did, like what everyone in the office does and the different roles that everyone plays in really managing an actual company's digital forefront, it takes more to manage a digital forefront than a physical forefront a lot of times. That you don't understand how many places your business is being seen. And it's most people in today's world are finding your business in the digital space way before they're finding it in the physical space. And your representation of who you are in the digital space has a lot of weight, and most people don't even focus on it. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, I don't know that these people went to my Facebook or they went to my Instagram or they went to my website, and I don't know why I didn't close them. So you, as an individual, if you ended up on your Facebook, this is like a question I ask business owners all the time. I go, if you ended up on your Facebook, your Instagram, your website, would you do business with you? That answer like 10 out of 10 times is no. Then why the hell would someone else? Is that hard for people to look at and like understand? Like, I feel like that makes a lot of sense in my head.
That makes a lot of sense if you actually look at it like that. And I was just thinking, I haven't looked at any of my social platforms like that before. And I think that's really important, because whether it's a business or your personal page, you know everything that goes on in your business all day, every day. Nobody else knows that. So you can know that you're the best company out there and you help all of your clients win, or whatever industry you're in. Mm-hmm. If that's not portrayed online, then nobody else knows that.
And I think a lot of people out there just have this like misunderstanding that people are just going to fall into their business. That doing that stuff all the time and building that long-term brand, which I think a lot of it in marketing today, I can't emphasize this enough, is stop selling down people's throat. And it's this misconception that you have to be, every single post that goes up has to be selling someone. That post has to sell something directly or it's a waste of time. Instead of you always thinking about it from your side and what benefits you, think about when you're posting things of how to benefit other people. If you look at your social media platforms and you look at your digital forefront, instead of benefiting you, but to benefit others, you will grow social platforms super quickly.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, we can tell every single marketing person out there, but they can't get over that in their head. They literally cannot figure that out. Market to help people. Think about you being in your consumer's shoes. What do they want to learn?
Yeah, your content has to provide some value.
I think we've ran into issues too where like business owners want to post things that they think are cool or like that are relevant to them, but not necessarily like 100% relevant to someone who would want to do business with them.
Yeah.
And they don't understand like when we tell them like, yeah, you know, this isn't quite probably what you should be doing. They don't really understand that. I feel like that's a common problem. It's like what might be cool to you isn't really cool to, the 75% of the people that be working with you. It may be cool to the 25%, but it's not really relevant for the other 75%.
Yeah, there's a difference between what you're posting on your personal social media pages and what should be going on a business Facebook page.
And there's a lot of times
social media.
There's a lot of people also that don't really know who their perfect client is. That you have to know that. And I mean, we've gotten better and better at understanding who that person is. The people that we sit down with, majority of the time, they have no problem sitting at this table, jumping on, having drinks with us, having a good time. Like, they're people that we very much mesh with. But they follow us on our social media channels, and they end up in our funnel that way. And they're watching the podcast, they're watching our taco reviews, they're watching what we're putting up each week, they're watching all those things that lead them into funnel to where they know who we are. And they're reaching out to us because they feel that they would mesh with us. We've given them value. They like what they see that we are doing. That's why they reach out. To where it's this space of, well, this is who I like to have as a client, but my product does not match up with those people. In no world are you going to be able to say that, hey, I'm just going to market to those people, and then you're just going to sink your business.
Yeah.
Find out who your client is, understand that person, now understand the messaging that has to go to that person. Mm-hmm. That's how you win. And it's like, but there's still people out there that think that they're smarter than the algorithm, and they're smarter than all the social platforms, and they're going to get over on it, and they're going to figure out how to do it differently.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it done, but if somebody does it, please comment below.
What other questions we got?
I feel like my questions were good in the beginning. And after I looked at them again, I don't really like them as much. They didn't really lead with where we were going. Another thing I want to talk about on the podcast. As we have scaled and as we have grown, the Moss Marketing Group team is growing very, very quickly right now. And something that I failed at as a business owner for a long time was, and this is crazy because it's things I told other people, was understanding the strengths of the people that you work with. And we were just talking about this at the office today, and a restructure of the office and a restructure of the way that we're doing things to lean into people's strengths of what they're good at. And it was something that was so simple when I actually put pen to paper on it, because I have drawings of like the way that Moss Marketing Group scales and how the whole entire structure of it looks. And the crazy thing was the marketing side, I couldn't figure it out. I kept looking at it, couldn't figure it out. And we had Logan, Dalton, and Lauren all as project managers, holding just individual accounts, doing everything. And most people don't know that goes into direct communication with those people every single day. You are doing all posting for those accounts. You're doing all reporting for those accounts. You're doing all the ads for those accounts. You're tracking ad spend for those accounts. You're going through the analytics every single week. You're doing all these different things for those accounts. If they're doing email campaigns, you're working on those. If they're doing any sort of graphics outside of social, you're working on helping with those. You're working with the content creators on what they're editing and they're giving back to you. You're going out to content at the location. You're doing all these different things. You're going to events for them. You're helping set up events. And I couldn't figure out how to scale that. I was like, so if I bring someone else in and they're just going to work side by side? I didn't like the structure. It didn't make sense growing. And as I just kept looking at it, I think I was watching a TikTok video. Once again, sounds crazy. I was watching a TikTok video, and I was at the gym, and it's talking about leveraging people's strengths. And it just like dawned on me. I'm like, Logan loves the analytical side, loves doing the reports. He can absolutely run circles around the whole office in Excel and Google Sheets and all that side. So if I'm ever sitting at my desk and I accidentally end up in Google Sheets or something, I need help, I'm calling Logan up to my desk. Dalton is really good at like structuring out his accounts and like how they run and operate actually on the social platforms, managing that side, catching trending sounds, doing all that. And Lauren was definitely the best when it came to like that client relation, customer satisfaction type stuff. I was like, what if just they all ran accounts together? Which in the beginning we broke it apart for more accountability on each business. And as we've separated those things, it's crazy how much better each one of those spots has gotten in just a short period of time. And I don't know, it's something that has happened recently in MMG, and it was something that I don't know why it took me so long to see that. Ricky runs the content side, and he's phenomenal at that.
Well, I think a lot of times, and this goes with, it could be in business, it could be in life and whatever, people just don't question things. Like that's just the way it's been. So they don't think to question it, and they just keep going on. Even if a system is broken, or maybe it's not necessarily broken, but it's less efficient than it could be, you shouldn't always just keep doing it because it's what you have been doing. Yeah. And I think that happens to a lot of people in a lot of different scenarios where they just haven't looked at it through a different lens.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, what do you guys think about the processes that we've implemented on how it's panned out from actually sitting in that spot? Because I know I feel like anyone out there not that many people out there have worked for me, but if I have an idea, I'm going to come in and I'm very fast to implement. Like, I'd rather come in and implement something and not work and know, instead of just sitting there stewing on it and being like, okay, this is something I'll implement January 1. We'll wait till the first of the year. Because I think about, okay, if this does work, how much further can that progress us forward doing it right now instead of waiting 90 days or 120 days? To where it's like, I had this idea at the gym. I came home, I got ready, I came in, and I was like, this is what we're doing. And I know that at that time, it's probably like, whoa, like changing everything on half of the whole entire company just immediately is kind of seems nuts.
Right.
Yeah. But I think the idea is good, and I like it, and I think it needed to happen. Really, like taking a step back and looking at it. I think we're still in the process of implementing the whole thing. You know, it's not something that can happen, you know, in a week or overnight. Like I said, I think it needed to happen. I just think it's something that we're gradually kind of progressing into, because, you know, I can't just like completely take a step back and like not talk to any of my clients anymore, even though that is Lauren's main job now. Like, I can't just like, hey, Tim, like, not gonna be. Don't text or call me anymore. Like,
so my deal is like, and there's certain accounts that I was the broken piece in the process. I was scheduling their content. I was doing these parts of it that people wanted to text me, and that's not a bad thing. They can still text me whenever. They still have my number. They can still contact me. It's not that it's like all of a sudden, okay, you can't talk to anyone at MMG except for Lauren.
Yeah, there's still a relationship there with them.
Yeah, no, and that's not. I'm not saying
it's just
like,
more defined responsibilities within.
I'm just saying, I think it's like a process of moving into those roles. Like, you know, I think the more time that's in, it'll, you know, start to come to fruition even more and more.
I think I think that it's a great spot to have you as what you are doing, what Logan's doing, and what Lauren's doing. You guys can all have those relationships with those people, but they know when Lauren's reaching out that it's going to be setting up the content day.
Yeah.
What that looks like. And I think it just becomes a more efficient process at scale.
I agree. It
does.
Sure. It's not automated.
No, it's certainly not very unautomated.
It does make it super scalable. And I do completely agree with you about it's the whole tech industry mantra of like fail fast, fail often. You know, you're going to figure out what works eventually. And I'd say that that's like half of the battle that people struggle with oftentimes with anything in life and business is taking the first step and kind of jumping off the ledge, if you will. So that's something that we've always been very quick to do. There's been multiple iterations of this. So like in the beginning, we were kind of just shotgunning, you know, accounts, whoever on our team, you know, we would just grab work and kind of just do it, whatever account needed work done. Then we had to come up with some way to, you more structure that and figure out, who's accountable for each account and all that stuff. So we kind of jumped into that. Now it's how do we structure this to where we can build out teams under us and make it scalable so that we're able to, do the best work in each category for each client that we work with. I mean, it's really trying to, we're not offering a specific product per se, but it's the same thing with products. You go through multiple iterations trying to offer the best service to the clients to take a better product to the market.
And that's kind of the way I was looking at it too, is I looked at it that Dalton's clients got to experience something better in a certain aspect of what they were getting. Logan's clients got to experience a better aspect in a certain part of what he was doing. Lauren's clients got to experience a better aspect of what she did, or a part of what she did. So it's like, that's when I thought about it. I was like, okay, if we put all three of those things together, every person we work with should get experience all of those. And that's looking at it, once again, from the consumer's shoes, not what it looks like in our office. That we figure out what we do, that's on us.
I think that's the biggest key. Looking at it from what's their perspective on the services we're providing for them? And in what way can we provide them with the most, the best services, the most return for their money, the most communication, the most, analytics, so they can actually, see what's going on from day to day. I think
and
that's a good way to put it, for sure.
It also makes you just more efficient on the regular day-to-day activities because you're not switching tasks as often.
Yeah.
Like any industry that you look at in successful businesses, people do one or a few things. Like if you go down to the Ford plant, it's not like there's 2,000 people in here and they're all working on their own F-150 that they're building.
Right.
Everybody has a specific role, and that's how you figure out that accountability. And it gives the individual a chance to get really good at something instead of just trying to do a little bit of everything.
That'll be like all three of you guys at Ford, like putting together your own F-150s and be like, you know what? Like Dalton's not very good at putting in the radios on his. So his clients are getting trucks with bad radios in them.
Hey, they run fucking good though.
They run good though.
Ricky's not real sure how to use the tool that puts the seats in. So his all have squeaky seats in them. But Dalton's seats are all in like perfectly flush. So it's like you look at that as like if everyone was just building their own trucks, like Logan was putting his stickers on crooked. So like all of his F-150s came out with crooked stickers.
I've never been good with a level.
But it's funny, like if you went to Ford and you presented that, they'd be like, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's crazy that like on a smaller business scale, most people don't even think about things like that.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest pieces that people struggle with, and why small business owners and new entrepreneurs get burnt out so quick is because they don't set themselves up for success when it comes to scalability. They don't put the right leadership pieces in the right places. That a lot of them don't invest in the right people in the first place. But even if you do have the right people, knowing how to give them the ability to lead, put them in the positions that they can build out a scalable team under them. I mean, there's an art to it, and it is something that doesn't just happen overnight. You have to go through the pain. You have to go through, trying and learning about it.
And I think it's like we say that it sounds so easy and things like that, but really when you're in it every single day and you're chasing the money, when you're chasing all these different pieces, you're chasing new work, and anyone that says entrepreneurship is easy is full of shit. And you meet an entrepreneur, they're not going to tell you it's easy. And it becomes this thing that just eats up your life, and it almost like fogs your vision a lot of times.
It's like the meme of, I quit my 9 to 5 to work 24/7.
But it's like you think it's going to like, it almost fogs your vision that some things that like when they finally come, it's like, oh my God, I'm like, how did I miss that? Like, how have I missed that for so long?
Yeah, and it's easy to sit here and talk about it right now. But yeah, I mean, there's
probably 50 other things that in 2 years we're going to be like, why were we still doing it this way?
100%. And you look at, I mean, I remember in the early days, like when we got in, we were scared to hit accounts at certain money. And that was just putting the self-worth in our head of what our value was.
Yeah.
As we've scaled, we've hit people with higher dollar amounts, and they just keep saying yes. And it's like, but that's the progression. And we talk about the companies that take on people that it's a $10 million account. Like, there's going to be a couple years down the road that's us. Like we're bidding accounts now bigger than we ever have. And it's like, but that's positioning yourself exactly where you're supposed to be. But it's now when I speak to a client on that level, I have zero question that it can be ran, and it can be ran 100% the way it should be because the structure that's in place. I was so fearful for a long time of like getting that big deal, getting in the room with like the right people and positioning myself at the right time to get that deal, and then not being ready actually company structure wise to be able to handle it. And it's funny because that lived in my head, but it wasn't the thing it wasn't the thought that was in the forefront of like what I need to fix every day. It was something I'd think about at night, but then when I got up in the morning and the actual day comes and hits you in the face, now all of a sudden everyone's running around trying to get content. We're trying to figure out what's going on with current accounts. Like we have new accounts reaching out. We need to get this sent over. These people need business cards. We got 3 new websites came on today, like all this stuff. And all of a sudden you never thought about the structure.
Yeah.
It's just poof, the day is gone.
Poof, gone.
And then I think that's what a lot of people run into. Like we were talking about those, they're just so busy trying to keep up that they don't have that chance to innovate.
Yeah.
And if they don't, it's kind of a catch-22 because if they don't innovate, well, then they're always going to be trying to keep up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is kind of trying to slow down to go faster makes so much sense. My dad told my brother and I that our whole entire life, and I'm like, that makes no sense.
It's the whole. Have you started the 10x2x book yet?
I've read into it some. I have not been that great at reading the last few weeks.
So it's. I mean, it's
not
the
gonna
whole.
lie about it.
The whole. So I'm about halfway through chapter 2, but the whole, I mean, thought and principle behind that, it works in hand with the Pareto principle to where 20% of the action that you do drives 80% of the results. So if you have to take that step back to hyper focus on the 20%, you might lose, or in a business, 20% of your work might make you 80% of your money, for example. Mm-hmm. You know, that's scary to take that step back on that 80% of work and say, hey, we're not going to take on any more work like this. We're going to focus on this 20%. Over time, it's going to work out, but it's a scary step to take.
And it sounds terrible, and I hate saying this because it's not something, I don't mean this in a negative way whatsoever, but when we started, we took on cheap clients. There was, in the car business, I understood a higher price tag, but then outside of that, I'm not going to say cheap, but we took on a cheaper price tag of client.
Right. I'm not going to say, I wouldn't say cheap. Cheap's not the right word. But
not cheap, but it was just a much lower price tag from where we're currently at. And in that space, we would have, in 5 clients, we'd have 2 great clients. And then we'd have 3 that thought like we were supposed to run their whole entire company, that just everything. And I don't know if it was a expectation level was off because we don't run contracts. Like it was just a crazy ask from us all the time.
Well, you all say that everyone's castle is a different size, and that is a perfect example of that, because then, you know, a couple $1,000s to someone who their business is making $4,000 a month, that's 50% of their business's income. I mean, that literally chops their take-home money in half. But, you know, we talk about a larger level, say 10 grand, for example. Someone's making $100,000 per month, 10 grand is 10%. It's a lot easier, even though it is a larger amount of money to commit to that.
And I think where in the beginning I struggled so much was all I think about is scale. I know that the business is coming. What I have to do and what my job is to make sure the company scales correctly. I feel like that's what makes and breaks companies, is either figuring out the complexity and figuring out the multipliers and figuring out how to take it and bring the right people to the table at the right time to scale it all, or you sink it. And we would work with companies that, yeah, you have the person that's making $4,000 and we're taking on 2,000 of it, and they're getting the work, but they're not hiring people, they're not doing anything else, and they're just trying to work themselves completely into the dirt. And it's like, and they're right back at the same spot. Now they've went to 6 to 8, and then they're like, well, I could just actually get rid of the marketing and just go back to where I was and then not work as hard. And then, like, it's this weird spot that I'm like, actually, when you got to that point, what would it look like hiring someone else on to take workload off your plate? And then you could actually spend more time on acquiring more work to hire someone else on to like actually scale something. Yeah. But there's a lot of people that don't think that way. It's not a fault. It's not fault to us. It's not fault to them. That's just
In that example in business too, you have to know when to fire yourself from certain responsibilities. So like if you're an entrepreneur and you're growing and scaling, and the thing that you hate to do is emailing people back, watching a calendar, like communicating with people, then once you get to the point to where you need to fire yourself from all those responsibilities, hire yourself an assistant or a virtual assistant, put that on them and focus on the things that you like to do. That's what keeps people going,
I will say though, I do have a little bit of an objection to that. I think some people chase too much of what they like to do, but there's also things that you have to just recognize when you have a talent at it, that where is your time most well spent in your business? Because I'll say I really enjoy being on a camera. Yeah. If I had an option, I'd be on a camera all the time. Like I think it is just something that's so cool. That is not something that drives MMG every single day from my spot. Most of the time, I'm just in Ricky's way.
You don't necessarily need to do what you like to do. It's more so like what you have the biggest leverage in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's
what's the most value to the business.
Yeah.
The biggest standstill at MMG was I wanted to offload the sales.
Yeah.
And that is what I drove it so high. I offloaded the sales to other people that I tried to give that to. And they did not do it well. And then it came back to me. And then it went straight back to driving up.
Yeah.
And not saying that in like a bad way, but that was a talent that I had and I have. And I was trying to offload it.
Yeah.
But so I could go do video. When these people were selling, I'm out on a camera like, woo, have fun. I was like, this is what I want to do. But that's not where my time is most well spent. Yeah. And it's hard to look at that sometimes and be able to look at yourself in the mirror and saying like, and I hate the cliche thing of like, do what you love. You never work a day in your life, blah, blah, blah. Like make what you do benefit the people around you too. Because I could be super selfish and be like, I want to be on a camera all the time. Screw you guys. I'm going to hold like 4 accounts. I'm just going to be on camera all the time. Run a couple counts and I'm going to have a blast. That's not growing something. Like there's going to be, I still have the luxury if I want to jump on a camera now and again, I can. It's not like I can't do it, but it's one day it'll be big enough that we'll have a full sales team. We'll have all those things. I haven't earned that spot yet.
Yeah.
And it's one day I will earn that spot where I can say, hey, now I get to do whatever I want to do every day. And I truly enjoy doing it.
Right.
I enjoy the sales too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect example. We'll go back to the Ford thing. It's like if that was the case, then each one of us just had like our own individual clients that we did everything for. We would be basically just running our little own businesses within the company, and it wouldn't benefit the greater good. But once you get to a certain point, it's like if the CEO of Ford wants to go, build a truck for a day, I'm sure he can go do that.
I don't think I want that truck.
Yeah. I mean, no, they're probably gonna have to fix it. And it's probably gonna,
Are you saying no one wants my content?
But
I don't know if that quite works.
Next question.
I don't know if that analogy holds up. It's a little bit different.
Yeah. See, I just keep buying nicer camera equipment, hoping it's going to elevate my content.
And then it's just too heavy that it hurts your back.
It has gotten pretty heavy.
Yeah. That FX6 is a beast.
Yeah, it's pretty funny when I got that sitting at my kitchen table. Madison has all this, what would you call that? What you call it thing?
Decorations.
She calls it something, but she has all this stuff across the kitchen table. And I take it all off and I have the FX6 all opened up on the kitchen table. And I'm like, am I that guy right now? Am I that excited for a camera? And I was like, I don't know. I thought it was like the weirdest thing.
It's like Christmas morning.
It really was. I was so excited when I came home. Devin at our office, he was like, are you going to do like an unboxing video of that tomorrow at the office? I'm like, you think I can wait to open that tomorrow? I am so impatient. Impatient. Yeah. It's the second time that's happened today.
At least.
It's all good.
Could have been more. I'm pretty worn out from the week already. I wasn't even super ready for this. I was very unready for this, actually.
It's going well.
Yeah. We've gotten somewhere. Any other topics that we're going to hit on? I don't even know. What time do we even start?
Dre, what time we got over there, dude?
It's 8:45. How many? 51 minutes.
Oh, damn, that went
feels
pretty
like
fast.
it's been 30.
I thought he was going to say 30 something.
Probably like 40 because you guys started late.
I feel like it's just been a pretty good one so far.
So Dre really has no relevance of how much time we're at.
He's playing a video
Stumble
game.
Guys.
He said 40 or 52.
Have you won a game yet?
No.
You suck.
Stumble Guys.
What other
The fuck
what
is
other
it?
marketing business stuff can you guys think of off the top of your head? It's going on like right now, relevant to what we're doing.
Hot
I
seat.
don't know. Rite Aid's in a shitstorm.
What is it?
Oh,
Rite Aid.
the pharmacy.
Oh.
Yeah, like Walgreens and CVS is third, like, competitor.
Didn't know anything about that. News to me.
They filed bankruptcy on Monday. That's
This
a
is-
good example of do the right thing in business all the time, because they, for like 5 years, their pharmacists were filling
Is it-
sketchy prescriptions for opioid drugs, and they got caught
Like
doing it.
overfilling?
They had a couple. Well, I don't know specifics. I don't want to speak on it. I don't have 100% insight to it. But the DOJ came down on them, and they filed Chapter 11 on Monday, and they've had to take on investors to keep stores open, but they're closing a lot of stores. So just do the right thing in business. I don't know.
You normally don't hear places falling in the pharmacy and
Why?
pharma space.
Yeah.
This might be completely irrelevant, but a couple weeks ago, maybe not even that long, why were CVS and Walgreens employees striking or walking out? Was that? I thought I heard that on the news.
I didn't know anything about that.
What do you guys watch?
It
Business
could
news.
be completely irrelevant to Rite Aid.
TheOnion.com.
Don't watch The Onion.
I don't know.
What do you
Maybe
mean they were walking out? Because
Do they have some
The
type of
pharmacists were just walking out.
Have you ever? When was the last?
Is there a pharmacist union?
I don't think so. I mean, not that I'm aware of. But
When you go to a CVS, there's only
maybe
one
they
person working.
maybe they
ever.
got inspiration from the UAW or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
Anyways, that was off topic. But
Yeah. Wow.
We're just talking about business news now.
I mean, we were really killing it there for a while, and then just we might have to just cut out this
we
part.
can
What-
just cut this part out.
Let's
I
figure
don't
a
know
good
how to-
marketing topic and talk on for 10 minutes and cut it.
Maybe not marketing.
What you got, dude?
I was going to talk about the Total Wine Lucas thing. Buying a company to shut it down, buying market share. I don't know. Never mind. Another business. I'm going down a business rabbit hole here.
Yeah.
Chiefs traded for McCole Hartman. How about it?
Frank Clark's got a physical at 9 a.m.
Hey,
hopefully he's
Well,
on time.
I'm thinking on this.
Hopefully he's
note,
not sick.
I'm thinking we've kind of came to the end of what we were
Probably cut
going
that
to
out
do.
too.
I was going to kind of try to keep it on a couple topics, not just completely off the rails everywhere marketing wise. So I feel like we hit on two good solid topics.
I feel like short's good sometimes.
Yeah. I think very much on automation and automated marketing in today's space. It's failing everywhere. And I think there's certain automations that can be put in place, but there still has to be the human touch on things. And I think that manual marketing right now is winning the game. And I think that's why you are seeing a lot more small business owners have success on social media over big corporate companies. And because I do see a lot of big corporate stuff with huge, I don't want to say big corporate. I want to say that medium, like the business that gets a little bit bigger that has some money, that they try to automate everything. It sounds great. And then it kind of just runs right into the dirt. So look at that. Look at your social platforms. Look at your digital forefront. What do you think of it? As a business owner, what are your thought process? What's your thought process on exactly what you have? If you were an outsider looking in, would you come do business with you?
Yeah, that's really good. And just because something, is going to be off your plate and quick and easy and quote unquote automated and it sounds, fancy, it doesn't mean that it's the right thing for your business just because it's getting done, but it's off your plate and it's poor quality. Especially when it comes to marketing and the content that you're putting out there, there's so much of it out there that if your, stuff isn't organic or authentic, then you're just going to be another face in the crowd.
And I know that there's probably going to be a lot of people that are watching this or listening to this or in marketing that are going to bitch up a storm that say, well, you can automate this, you can automate that. Well, if you have a marketing company that is automated that's doing better than us, I'd love to fucking hear it. So I have that. Reach out to us. And I'm talking if you are doing real scale money accounts. I'm not talking $200, $300 social media accounts that do nothing. Yeah. So if you have listened to this and you disagree with us, feel
if you're
free to
actually
comment.
providing value for clients.
Yeah, I would love to hear from someone that's doing this in an automated way that's really providing value, that's working in today's space, because I'd be all ears. Yeah. And then also on the business forefront, putting people in places of strength. Focus on that. Get to know the people that you work with and figure out how to leverage them in a positive way.
Yeah.
That leverage people of what they're great at. And when you do that, your workload can multiply very quickly. And like Ricky was saying, that person's not jumping from task to task to task all day, every day. And you're really getting to optimize that person and what they specialize in. Yeah. But I'm not jumping into all the other crap that we went into at the end. But any final thoughts?
I think you guys nailed it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that I'll add to this is that the MMG team, like Dane said at the beginning, is always growing. So if you feel like you have, a passion for growing something or even marketing, shoot one of us a message. Let's have a conversation. We're always looking to meet the right people and new people. So,
and when we talk about that, we're not doing it in an automated way. We do need the manpower. That we scale with manpower, and that is doing it differently in the space, but that is how we keep quality control, and that we make sure that things are being done correctly and that it can scale for the businesses that we work with.
Yeah.
So I'm going to end that. So you want to scale your business, you want to work for MMG, whatever it is, you want to bitch and complain, hit the comments. We'll drop all the links to MMG too. Find us on any social platform. Reach out to us. Dre, continue snoozing. SM3 Podcast. Peace.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the M3 Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Want to learn more? Check us out on Instagram at Moss Marketing Group, on Facebook at Moss Marketing 58, or on our website at mossmarketinggroup.com.